My wife found out my family's weekly meetings were about her. She burst in yelling, "What are you all hiding from me?" My mother sighed and said, "It's time you knew the truth." My wife's face went pale as she read the first page of the binder. I never expected my sister to fight me over my own inheritance. Then again, maybe I should have. I always knew Bianca had a way of making everything about herself, but I thought there were limits. That when it came to something like this, our parents, their last wishes, she'd have at least a shred of decency left. I was wrong. But before I get to that moment, sitting in a lawyer's office while she turned pale at the words on the will, let me take you back. Because you need to understand the kind of person she is. And maybe, in the end, you'll see why I made the decision I did. I was at work when I got the call. It was a normal Thursday, nothing special. I was sitting in my tiny cubicle, staring at yet another spreadsheet, wondering if I could justify getting a third cup of coffee without looking like an addict. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Work policy meant personal calls were frowned upon, and I figured it was spam anyway. But something told me to pick up. "Hello. Is this Owen Hargrove?" The voice was unfamiliar. Clipped. Professional. "Yes. This is Officer Bradley with the Cincinnati Police Department. I'm calling about your parents, George and Margaret Hargrove." I sat up straighter, heart suddenly hammering. "What about them?" There was a slight pause, and I already knew. I knew before he said it. "I'm very sorry to inform you that they were involved in a car accident this morning. They didn't survive." I didn't respond. I couldn't. I heard the officer keep talking, something about what happened, next steps, official reports, but it was like I was underwater. The words weren't registering. By the time I hung up, my hands were ice cold. I don't remember much about leaving the office, driving home, sitting in my apartment in silence. It didn't feel real. I kept expecting my mom to call, reminding me about some random appointment she thought I'd forget, or dad to text me an article about the stock market like he always did. But the silence just stretched. And then I realized I had to call Bianca. I hadn't spoken to my sister in nearly a year. That wasn't unusual. Bianca and I had never been close. She was 8 years older, which meant by the time I was old enough to form actual memories, she was already halfway out the door. I grew up hearing stories about how she raised me, but if you asked me, all I remembered was a blur of babysitters and empty rooms. Still, she was family, and she needed to know. I called. She didn't pick up. I called again. Nothing. Finally, on the third try, she answered. "Hello." Her voice was groggy, like I'd woken her up. "Bianca," I said carefully. "It's Owen." A pause. Hey." I exhaled slowly. "I need to tell you something, and I need you to just listen, okay?" "All right." I swallowed. "It's Mom and Dad. They're gone." Silence. When she spoke again, her voice was sharper. "What do you mean, gone?" "There was an accident. A car crash. They didn't make it." Another pause. Longer this time. Then, a slow exhale. "You're kidding." I blinked. "No, Bianca. I wouldn't joke about this." More silence. Then, abruptly, "When's the funeral?" The question caught me off guard. I don't know yet," I admitted. "I have to make the arrangements." She made a sound in the back of her throat. "Okay, well, just text me the details." And then she hung up. I handled everything alone. The funeral home, the guest list, the obituary, the paperwork. Bianca didn't call. She didn't offer to help. She didn't even show up until the morning of the service, stepping out of a cab in a sleek black dress, her sunglasses perched on top of her head like she was some grieving movie star. She walked up to me, gave me a quick hug, and sighed dramatically. "This is so hard for me," she murmured, her voice low. I was so close to them. I wanted to laugh. Instead, I just nodded. The funeral itself was surreal. The kind of thing that doesn't feel like it's actually happening, even as you watch it unfold. People came up to me afterward, muttering condolences. Bianca, on the other hand, took center stage, talking about how much she had done for our parents. "I practically raised Owen," she told someone. "Mom and Dad were always working, you know? I was the one taking care of him." I nearly choked on my drink. She barely lived with us. And when she did, she spent more time sneaking out with boyfriends than babysitting me. But I let it slide. I was too tired to argue. Then came the will. A week later, Bianca and I sat across from each other in Mr. Calloway's office, our parents' lawyer. Bianca looked bored, her nails tapping against the armrest. "Let's just get this over with," she sighed. "Mom and Dad would have wanted everything split evenly, right?" Mr. Calloway adjusted his glasses. "Actually, no." She frowned. "What do you mean?" He cleared his throat and started reading. "To our beloved son, Owen, we leave the house, our savings, and all remaining assets." Silence. I felt Bianca's gaze snap toward me, but I kept my face blank. "To our daughter, Bianca," Calloway continued, "we leave $10,000. Bianca sat up straighter. "Excuse me." Calloway flipped another document over. "Your parents made amendments to their will 3 years ago." Her face twisted. "Why the HLL would they do that?" Calloway didn't even blink. "Because they discovered the truth." A sharp, awful pause. I turned to look at him, my stomach twisting. What truth? Calloway exhaled. Your parents knew about Bianca's financial struggles. They also knew she had been lying to them. Bianca's face went white. They knew about the fake emergencies, he continued. The fabricated medical bills. The loans that were never repaid. They knew that every time she called, it was for money. I felt something cold settle in my chest. I turned to Bianca. Is that true? She didn't answer. Calloway straightened his papers. Your parents weren't naive. They realized that if they left everything to be split evenly, Bianca would burn through her share and then come after you. So they made their choice. Bianca's hands curled into fists. This isn't fair. Calloway gave her a long, measured look. Fairness was never the issue. Responsibility was. I leaned back in my chair, watching as my sister's world crumbled around her. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the little brother she could take advantage of. I felt like I finally had the upper hand. Bianca's breathing had changed. Shallow, quick. Her fingers gripped the edge of the desk so tightly that her knuckles went pale. You're kidding, she said finally, her voice oddly flat. Calloway didn't blink. I assure you, Miss Hargrove, I am not. Bianca let out a short, disbelieving laugh. This is a joke. This has to be some kind of mistake. Mom and Dad wouldn't do this to me. They loved me. Calloway calmly folded his hands over the paperwork. They did love you. But love doesn't mean ignoring reality. I wasn't sure what I expected Bianca to do. Maybe cry, maybe beg, maybe storm out. But she just sat there, stiff as a statue, her eyes darting over the will like she was waiting for the words to rearrange themselves into something different. Then, slowly, she turned to me. You knew about this, she accused, her voice ice cold. I scoffed. I didn't even know they changed the will until today. Bullcrap, she snapped. They told you. That's why you're so calm right now. I looked her dead in the eyes. I'm calm because, for once, I'm not the one getting screwed over. Her nostrils flared. This isn't right, Owen. I was their firstborn. I was the one who took care of them. I was the one who, Calloway cut in smoothly. Miss Hargrove, your parents were clear in their reasoning. They were deeply disappointed in your actions, but they still wanted you to have something. That is why they left you $10,000. Bianca let out another breathless laugh. Oh, how generous, she sneered. 10,000. That's pocket change compared to what they had. Compared to what he's getting. She gestured at me like I was some thief who had just looted our parents' graves. I felt something in me snap. Oh, I'm sorry, Bianca. Were you the one handling their doctor's appointments? Paying their bills when they needed help? Driving Mom to her physical therapy sessions? Or were you too busy in New York pretending to be successful while draining their bank account? Her lips curled into a snarl. You don't know what the HLL you're talking about. I know they were paying off your debts, I shot back. I know they covered your credit card bills more than once. I know they sent you money every time you claimed you just needed a little help. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. And I know you were lying to them about it the entire time. She recoiled like I had slapped her. For a second, neither of us spoke. The only sound in the room was the soft ticking of Calloway's desk clock. Then, Bianca took a slow, measured breath. Fine, she said, her voice calmed, but her eyes were still burning. You want to play it this way? You want to screw me out of what's mine? She tilted her chin up. Then I'll contest the will. Calloway sighed, as if he had been expecting this. You're welcome to try, Miss Hargrove, but I should warn you, the law is not on your side. Bianca shot him a sharp look. They were old. Maybe they weren't thinking clearly when they made these changes. Calloway didn't so much as blink. Your parents were of sound mind when they amended the will. I have documentation confirming that. Additionally, they recorded a video message explaining their decision. I felt my stomach tighten. I hadn't known about that. Bianca stilled. A video? Yes. Calloway opened a file drawer, pulling out a USB drive. They wanted to ensure there would be no misunderstandings. Bianca's face went completely blank. I can play it now, if you'd like, Calloway offered. Bianca shot up from her chair so fast it scraped against the floor. No, she said quickly. That won't be necessary. I stared at her. She looked rattled. She didn't want to see what they had to say, because deep down, she already knew. She adjusted her dress, smoothing the fabric with shaky hands. This isn't over, she muttered. I need time to think. Without another word, she turned and strode out of the office, her heels clicking sharply against the tile. I watched her go, an uneasy feeling settling in my gut. Something told me she wasn't going to walk away quietly, and I was right. Bianca didn't disappear after storming out of the lawyer's office. I had hoped, maybe naively, that she'd cool off, accept reality, and move on. Maybe even learn something from all of this. But if there's one thing I should have known about my sister, it's that she doesn't lose gracefully. It started with the phone calls. At first, she'd leave messages. Owen, we need to talk. You know this isn't fair. Then, when I didn't respond, the messages changed. I don't know what Mom and Dad told you, but they were manipulated into this. You know I deserve my share. When I kept ignoring her, she got nastier. You ungrateful little crap. I raised you. I sacrificed everything for this family. And this is how you repay me? You let some lawyer tell you what you think. Enjoy your stolen money. You selfish bastard. I blocked her number. Then, the emails started. They were a mix of threats, guilt trips, and increasingly desperate offers. I'll take 40%, and we never have to speak again. 30%, and I'll even sign an NDA. Just something, Owen. I know you're not this cruel. Cruel? I was protecting myself. For years, Bianca had taken and taken, always expecting there'd be more. And now, for the first time, the well had run dry. She wasn't handling it well. Then, one day, I got a call from Calloway. She's trying to contest the will, he said simply. I sighed, rubbing my temples. Of course she is. She doesn't have a case, he assured me. Your parents were meticulous. The documents are airtight, and the video testimony eliminates any claims of coercion. This is nothing more than a desperate move. I knew he was right, but still. She's not going to let this go, I muttered. She may not have a choice. And Calloway was right. Bianca filed a legal claim to contest the will, citing undue influence and mental incompetence. But her case had no legs. Our parents had amended their will years ago, with multiple witnesses and full medical evaluations. The court dismissed her claim before it even made it to trial. She lost, and that's when she really lost it. I came home one evening to find my front door covered in sticky notes. Thief. Mom and Dad would be ashamed of you. Enjoy your blood money. I sighed, peeled them off, and went inside. Then, she started showing up at the house, banging on the door, screaming. This isn't over, Owen. You think you've won? You think this makes you better than me? I never answered. I just let her rant until she got tired and left. But I knew she was unraveling. And that's when I realized there was a better way to end this. Not with lawyers, not with arguments, but with the one thing Bianca had never been able to handle. Accountability. I dug through the files Calloway had given me. Buried in the paperwork were old bank statements, emails, proof of payments. I started compiling them. Every dollar our parents had wired her. Every expense they had covered. Every lie she had told them. And then I did something Bianca never expected. I sent it all to her employer. Bianca worked in public relations. Her entire career was built on image, trust, reputation. And now, her bosses had a neat little package detailing years of financial manipulation and fraud. I didn't write a message. Didn't add any explanations. Just the facts. And that was all it took. A week later, she called me from a new number. You ruined me. I almost laughed. No, Bianca. You ruined yourself. They fired me, Owen. I lost my clients, my credibility. Do you know what you've done? I made sure people saw who you really are. For once, she had nothing to say. I didn't enjoy her suffering. I wasn't interested in revenge for the sake of it. I just wanted her to stop, to finally learn. And maybe, just maybe, she did. Because after that, Bianca disappeared. No more phone calls. No more emails. No more notes on my door. Just silence. And for the first time in years, it actually felt like peace. The house is mine now. Not just legally. Emotionally. For a long time, it still felt like it belonged to our parents. Like I was just borrowing it until they came home. But now, it's starting to feel like mine. I still think about them. I still miss them. But I know they made the right choice. And I think, wherever they are, they finally have peace, too.